Olaplex reformulated their number 3 hair perfector, and I've seen a lot of people wonder why, but I think the answer is simple. People were overusing the product. There's been an ongoing discussion on social media about people overusing bond repair products in general, causing some people to experience more breakage, which is the opposite of what these products are meant to do. Just a few years ago, there was a class action lawsuit filed against Olaplex because of number 3 before it was dismissed in the court.
Hello, my curlies. Welcome to our channel, Curly Not Sorry, where we unapologetically debunk and demystify all of the misinformation out there about curly hair and teach you the appropriate way to care for your curls. My name is Devin, and I'm your curl specialist. So let's play a little bit of that clip, just a little bit more.
And around that time, many people came out saying that they left Olaplex number 3 in their hair overnight. That's not what you're supposed to do per the instructions. And doing so led to scalp irritation or brittle hair in some individuals. Here is the ingredient list for the original formula, with their bond builder bisamino-propyl diglycol-dimaleate as the second ingredient, while the reformulation now has it as the fourth ingredient, instead having traditional conditioning agents like cetyl alcohol, benzene methyl sulfate as the primary ingredients after water. And it also now features a few other bond repair agents.
Let's talk a little bit about this. Olaplex. Olaplex. Oh, so many things to say about Olaplex. Okay. Now, as you can see from what he was saying, that Olaplex has reformulated. They have a new formula out and they have re-released their number 3. Why? Well, in order to talk about bonders today as a whole, I kind of have to get a little nerdy. So you're going to have to bear with me a bit here because there's some science behind it here. So buckle down and bear with. So there are 2 different kinds of bonds in your hair. There are hydrogen bonds and disulfide bonds. Hydrogen bonds, I kind of want you to think of as like surface level bonds. They get broken and re-break all the time. You wet your hair, you break those bonds. You comb your hair, you break those bonds. You put heat on your hair, you break those bonds. Really, the breaking and rebuilding of hydrogen bonds is not that consequential to your hair unless you break enough of them frequently enough, and then you start getting into disulfide bond territory. Now, disulfide bonds are really what make up your hair. Those are broken by too much heat or by chemicals, such as perms, lighteners, hair color, and relaxers. Honestly, and you can come for me for saying this, I don't care. It baffles me that relaxers are even still legal. It just, anyways, a different day. Now, these bond breakers were specifically made to help rebuild those bonds, those disulfide bonds specifically, when they're broken. The problem is people were using these bond builders when they weren't actually breaking those types of bonds. And so it was causing more harm than good. The other part was that people were using them too frequently. There are directions on the back of your bottle for a reason, you guys. Follow them. If you do it too much, then it's too much of a good thing. And it ends up doing more harm than good. So Olaplex came out like 10 years ago now. And the original idea behind it was something that we as stylists were supposed to mix into our hair color and our lightener when doing highlights, bleach and tones, permanent color. And it was supposed to rebuild the bonds as the chemicals were breaking them. And then you would seal it in with their number 2, and then you would send your client home with the number 3 to use at home once a week. That's it. Once a week. Not every day. That's how Olaplex got started, and it took off like wildfire. It was the first bond builder of its kind. So after that, all of these other brands started coming out with their own bond builders to also be mixed with color and to be used at home. The problem there is that when you send people home with these products, the label on the back, the instructions on the back, kind of ends up being up for interpretation, we'll say. So people were overusing it again, and it was causing issues. Olaplex recently got sued. There was a class action lawsuit out against Olaplex because instead of rebuilding these bonds, it was actually causing breakage. The problem there is it wasn't really Olaplex's fault. It was due to user error. Because everybody was overusing it, because they were using it too frequently, that was the thing that was causing the damage, not really Olaplex's formula. From what I understand, they didn't really have to deal with a whole lot of penalty because it was user error. But still, they decided to reformulate so that way you guys can use it as much as you want to use it, and it's not going to have as strong of a result. It's still going to deliver results, but it allows you guys to use it at the frequency that you so choose, rather than following the instructions that they gave you in the first place. When do I need to use these bond builders? Do I even need a bond builder? The only time I personally recommend to my clients that they use a bond builder at home is if they get regular chemical services. Again, perms, relaxers. I don't do relaxers. Highlights, permanent hair color. Now, permanent hair color is kind of a tricky one. If you're someone who's just getting your roots touched up or getting your grays covered, permanent hair color isn't really breaking enough bonds to where I really would recommend a bond builder. Now, if you're someone that's pulling that permanent color through from roots to ends every single time and doing that same chemical process over and over and over again, even though you don't need to, then yes, I would recommend you use a bond builder because you're using too many chemicals on your hair and you're going to break those disulfide bonds. If you flat iron your hair every single week, then you're going to also need to use a bond builder. If you're someone who only wears your hair straight, who has curly hair, and you have to straighten it, bond builders are definitely going to be beneficial for you and your hair. However, if you wear your hair curly, you only get highlights or permanent color every once in a while, a bond builder isn't something that you really need to be using that frequently. Olaplex isn't the only one. There are a bunch of different kinds. And it's also allowed for brands to come out with things that don't really work the same way and come out with their own technology to rebuild those bonds. K18 is a great product. And what I loved about K18 is that once I felt like my hair was repaired enough and I stopped using it, the repair remained in my hair. So it's not a forever product to me. It's something that when you get those chemical services done, then yes, use it for a while and then you can stop once your hair starts feeling like your hair again. But if you're someone who gets those highlights done really frequently and you just like have to stay up on your color all the time, then you continue to use K18 for as long as you like. It's not going to damage your hair to use it. There are also deep conditioners and masks that now have bond reforming technology in them as well. InnerSense just recently came out with their repair mask, and they have a technology in there that actually takes those broken bonds and magnetizes them back together so that they kind of rebuild themselves. And you can use it as frequently as you want to because it's not depositing a bunch of protein or anything like that. So it's not really going to do any damage if you use it on a more frequent basis. So there are plenty of options. Now, masks are something else entirely. Masks are something that you are supposed to rinse out after 5 to 10 minutes max. Please do not sleep with the mask in your hair. First off, going to bed with your hair wet is just going to result in more breakage, period. Your hair is the most vulnerable when it's wet. And if you leave it wet for a long period of time and you're also adding the friction from your pillow and however wild you sleep, because y'all know you'll be sleeping wild, then you're going to end up causing breakage to your hair because it's in its most vulnerable state. Also, leaving a deep conditioner or a mask in your hair for longer than the instructions say is not going to make your hair absorb more of it. It is not going to get you better results. Your hair can only absorb so much. So the rest of it is just washing away the second that you rinse it, no matter how long you've left it in. So just don't do that. The other option is, of course, leave-in conditioners. Now, I have to say this. If a conditioner does not say on it that rinsing it is optional or that it is in itself a leave-in conditioner, please rinse it out. If you're not rinsing out your regular conditioners, that could lead to product buildup. It doesn't matter how professional that product is. It doesn't matter how nurturing that product is. If you do it enough times and you're not rinsing it out, it's going to cause product buildup in your hair. It's just what happens. Leave-in conditioners are the ones that are not meant to be rinsed out. You can also use that as an option. That way your hair is getting the moisture that it needs, and you're not having to spend an extra long time in the shower or make a whole hoopla out of it in the middle of your Sunday. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you had enough information. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Share this with another curly if you found this information helpful, and I'll see you next time.